So tell us about the beginning of when you first started thinking that this might not be for you. And let's walk through that, how that process worked.
I don't think it was actually, it just happened like that. It was more because that was further down the line. It was more that because I wanted it to be successful, I was part of the leadership team. I was a trustee on the board. I was very invested. I was in my early 40s. I was very invested with my whole life being tied up in that community. While at the same time, I was running a hunting business. I loved my trips to America to the shows to catch up with my friends and to do all that side of it. And then part of that too was I got to visit other Christian people. I got to had Christian people come hunting with me. That were really great. I visited even other communities, like Hutterite communities up in Minnesota, and that where I stayed there. I had friends there, and I guess that was probably they challenged me on issues of faith that and things like that were allowed at Gloriavale that they considered to be wrong. And so some of those things like really challenged me as a person, as a Christian. I'm like, hang on, these guys are better Christians than me, yet I'm from Gloriavale. So how is that possible? So I really wanted to grow personally in my faith and my understanding of God and my understanding of the Bible. And so that's when I started listening to other preachers, other pastors, not podcasts, more audio books, YouTube sermons and things like that. And then I started sharing those with my wife as well. And I knew that, we were told that, with a big family, we couldn't survive in the outside world. We had to be in the community setting to be able to survive with having the number of kids we had. At that time, we had 12 children of our own, just that we'd had over the time we'd 20 plus years we've been married, which so they came pretty regularly. Big family, a lot of challenges there. But I just knew, I guess what I knew is that if it came down to it, I had to be true to what was right and whatever the cost was. And I knew that I'd be okay if I had to go and start again in the outside world. And I knew that I'd be cut off. I'd seen it done plenty of times before to my own family members. As actually that Gloriavale movie is quite good if people want some context. And also we've done another documentary with the Hope Project, which gives some interesting information as well. But it was certainly a journey for me, and it wasn't really just a light bulb moment. It came right down to the wire once we decided to sit down and write a letter to the main leader, just outlining our concerns, the things, this was during COVID, the things that we really felt needed to change for the community to continue or to grow, to be a healthier community, to progress, to improve in areas that were really important and really serious, like sexual offending and reporting that to police, and just things that I couldn't live with in my conscience, that my wife was concerned about, things that were affecting our own family. And so, I remember one day just thinking, when, if not now, then when? When am I going to be a man? When am I going to actually grow a pair and do what I know needs to be done, regardless of the cost? Because I knew that it could go one of two ways. Either they would listen, or we would have to either not think that way, give up what I had conviction about, or we'd get the boot and everything that came with that, which was what happened. So it really wasn't till after I gave that letter to the leader, and then he came back and said, no, we're not changing anything. We've done this for 50 years. We're not changing because you think we should change. And then there was disciplinary meetings that I just got shredded, character assassination, you're this, you're that, for hours at a time in that group. A couple of those, especially the last one, I recorded, and that's been very useful to helping outside agencies understand how those things, the tactics that are used, how those things are done, and it's also very current and relevant. So that that's been used in court with Gloriavale since in the last couple of years. And in that last meeting, my wife and my oldest boy Dan, he was 20 at the time, they were in that meeting, and it was really only once we got home we said, look, we've been given an ultimatum. We need to weigh up the pros and cons and whether we can do it or not. And we talked about it, and we just said we can't do it. So we started packing and packed all night. I wrote a paper nearly at midnight for my accounting degree, as we were packing, and then the next day we drove out with our 12 kids, pregnant wife,
Yeah.
and just a few possessions. So not much. Start again.